In this video, we're going to discuss the new GSA Schedule Consolidation program. If you're new here, consider clicking on the subscribe button and the bell so you don't miss any of our upcoming videos. And again, thank you for watching. Thank you so much for joining us today. And we're going to go over the GSA consolidation, the full story, and welcome to fiscal year 2020. It's hard to believe it's already another new year going on. And see if we have any questions here real quick. Thank you, Elizabeth. I appreciate that. And we're going to move along. Today, we have a new sponsor, a new client, Fort Smith Industrial Supply in Arkansas. And it's interesting because we signed them about a month ago and waited for the consolidation, and that was one of the first of 5 submissions we've already done since October 1st when it was available. So we've been extremely busy and a little difficult, but it's going to work out for the best for everybody. And the reason you're here is, number one, well, it could be 3 reasons. Number one, you want to understand what's going on because you have a contract, or number 2, you want to find out what's going on because you want to get a contract or in the process of trying to get a contract, or number 3, and my favorite, you just don't care. You just want to kill a half hour somewhere and be done. So from that aspect, we're going to address all 3 of them. Again, if you have any questions along the line at any time, just type them in. And handouts are available right now. If you go on your control panel and click view and then put a check mark next to handouts, you'll be able to get today's slides. We know who I am, kind of a almost old picture. Who am I? That's really more important. What gives me the right to be able to sit here today and tell you about GSA and VA? I'm a service-disabled Vietnam vet, and no, for most of you that know me, it's not because it's mental. I am the oldest GSA consultant. Started the company in 1986 with a guy you probably never heard of, Michael Dell. 1996, when we first started all this electronic stuff with the government, I worked on the beta team. That's why I'm able to process applications with my staff very, very quickly. So I guess experience matters. With over 33 years experience, I can remember day one. I remember exactly where I was sitting, what I was doing when I picked up the phone, because you had to do things the old-fashioned way. You picked up the phone and called somebody. So what can you expect today? Actually, the list is a little longer, but I ran out of room and didn't want to do 2 columns. So why are we doing the consolidation? Why is GSA doing the consolidation? We're going to discuss that. We're going to discuss cooperative purchasing. Those of you who want to sell, have a contract, or want to get a contract to be able to sell to the states, we'll discuss that. Transactional data reporting, which is really going to revolutionize the reporting structure when you have a contract reporting to GSA, your sales every quarter, every month, whatever. It's going to make it a lot easier. Those of you that are in the service business, order level materials. If you're doing services, you're allowed to put products in there, but there's a special way to do it. Will your contract number change if you have a contract? What about your option periods? Anybody that has a blanket purchase agreement, will that get affected? Mass modifications is phase 3, and you'll see a graphic. It's not the greatest graphic in the world, but when you get your slides, you'll be able to blow it up. And multiple contract consolidation. If you have a contract now, or multiple contracts, this consolidation in phase 1 does not apply to you. It's only for new offers. So don't get excited. well, get excited, but it's coming. And when the time comes, we'll do either a webinar or a video on exactly how to handle that the correct way so that you don't miss any ground. What is consolidation? What we found, and especially our team, what we found was that the same things were happening over and over and over again. When I say same things, I spoke with the folks in the program office, and they said, oh yeah, we created one of the solicitations on e-offer, and then we just copied all the templates and just renamed the category. Well, those of you that are a small business who have tried to get a contract, there's usually an asterisk next to the small business subcontracting plan, which makes no sense whatsoever because you're a small business. But yet, because these guys were lazy and just copied it, it created problems. We worked to try to get it fixed. Some fixed it, some didn't. Here's the graphic I was telling you about. Phase one was to develop the new schedule. What they did was took away all 24 contracts, and at one point in time there was actually 39. They started consolidating some of them into some of them, if you know what I mean. And from that aspect, what happened was, like group 58 had 3 different contracts. Well, they brought it down to 1. So 39 became 24. So in fiscal year 19, which is no longer, they decided to in their focus group to make all the major categories, whether it's IT or whether it's law enforcement or whatever, they just took away the schedule number, but they assigned it a subcategory and then a sub-subcategory. And you have to really see it to understand it, but you can read all about that on the Interact site at GSA. Then coming later in 2020 will be the mass mods for those who have a contract or one contract and retain your same contract number, and then you have to recreate the special item numbers that were on individual contracts and merge them into the consolidated contract. And I got to tell you, what I've seen, and I figured I'd just go in and look at it, maybe do a dummy semi-submission. And what I found was everything was pretty much the same except the beginning part when you had to go decide on the major category and the subcategory. And after I got through that, I said, this is easy. Well, we have a program that we actually can automate that process of answering those questions and filling in that data. It's already validated, spell checked, all that good stuff. The fun's going to come in when they finally do the multiple contract consolidation, which I'm kind of interested to see. What process did GSA follow? They did a full review, all the terms, conditions, the GSAR and all that other good stuff. They kept everything for every contract, and support categories were kept. Some of them were removed where there was duplicates, or I like to use the term rhetoric. So from that aspect, they did an excellent job, and kudos to the higher ups at GSA that designed this whole thing. What does it mean for cooperative purchasing? How many of you, show of hands or comment, yes, no, whatever, are actually selling to state and local government now? Cooperative purchasing gives you state, local, municipal, and education, universities, schools, things like that. Well, Elizabeth, time to get a contract, my dear, and start making some serious money, because we had a client who's also been a sponsor on one of our webinars, and anybody interested in that, send me an email at the end and we'll give you some pricing and guidance on what it takes to be a sponsor. Their first order from their GSA contract was to a university, and the original order was supposed to be for, I think it was 200 IP phones. And by the time they finally got all the requirements put together, it was 1,500 IP phones. Not a bad way to start out on your GSA contract at $300 a clip. I can't remember how much that was. How many of you have heard about the transactional data reporting system? What it's meant to do, and it's in pilot program right now on a couple of the smaller contracts, which it will not be expanded as of now. They're going to come up with something new. Have no idea what, because the TDR was fantastic. It's helping you not have to remember to do your sales reporting every single month or every single quarter. How many of you are doing services or selling services, whether it be a prime or a subcontractor, whether you have a GSA or, and by the way, VA is not included. We'll get to that. It's going to, one of our slides will help you with that one. The order level materials. If you're selling services and the government says, but I need a new widget, at the order level on that services, you can actually provide a product, and that's negotiated between you and the program manager or the buyer, whoever it happens to be at that particular time with the agency. You have a current contract, we assume. How is the consolidation going to impact you? It may or may not. There's no revisions to the clauses. All they're doing is streamlining everything. And if you're getting a contract, you'll get a new contract number. I believe it starts with 47Q or something like that. I can't remember how they start out. But it's really going to make everything so much easier and so much better for everyone, whether you're already in or whether you're trying to get in. Or what about your options? Funny, I led myself right into that one. This will depend on how many contracts. We'll take somebody, a former client of mine, CACI in Arlington, Virginia. We started out, we did the first services contract for GSA in 1996. That was the first one awarded for services. GSA had always traditionally been only product. Now they have, last count I saw was 34, 35, and I'm sure today they just got another one. So it's going to be very, very confusing to start, but it's going to be ultimately very streamlined for them after they get all of them combined into one. Now, let me talk about the difference between 24 contracts and one contract. Just because you have one contract or one new MA, it's called an MAS. They don't even have a number for it anymore. It's just called MAS. You have one for IT and you say, ooh, we want to also add law enforcement. Well, traditionally you'd have to start a whole new contract to do it. There's where the duplication and replication came in, because the first half of it is all the same for every contract. But the difference is you're still getting another contract in a contract. It comes in under major category, subcategory. So the amount of work that's done is a little bit less, but you have different requirements for when you're adding, we'll say, services or a different product line. You have Trade Agreements Act, you have all this other stuff you have to worry about, but it's all going under one umbrella, but it's still multiple contracts rolled into one. Let me digress for a moment. The original OO Corp was a contract, and I have no idea why they ever created it. I've done quite a few of them, but I know that I hated doing them, and I'm glad they changed it from OO Corp to the PSS, Professional Services Schedule, because I had a client in Maryland that had an OO Corp. They had a MOBIS and they had an IT. The problem was they became a large business due to growth. Well, the whole fact of that becoming a large business kicked them out of the IT. but their MOBUS, they ended up having to redo again because the IT got out, even though it was all under that one umbrella contract. So what happens is when we submit MOBUS or IT, Auburn, which manages or used to manage now the OO Corp contract, had to send each of those individual modules. One went to IT in Crystal City, and MOBUS went to, I believe it was New York at the time. And then they would do their thing, so you're still negotiating. And when it's all done, it goes back to OO Corp and they award it. But as soon as you have a problem with losing woman-owned, losing 8A, losing whatever, small business, OO Corp kicks you out. So we had to do a separate IT schedule for them. And what ended up happening was they were on a serious time crunch. And I've told this story before in other webinars we've had, and it's in all of our videos, that this was a Thursday. They contacted me and said, help. I said, all right, we can get it done. And they said, well, the good news is, yeah, you can get it done. The bad news is it has to be awarded and a contract number provided to a company agency in Maryland by Tuesday. Well, I now hold the record for the fastest contract ever awarded, 4 days. On Friday, they assigned a contract specialist and told her she was going to live with that contract all weekend long, and it had to be awarded Monday so we could provide the number to the agency on Tuesday. And you say, well, yeah, big deal. Okay. It was only $5 million. $5 million at whatever their profit margin was is one thing, number one. Number two, GSA, being finally learned to be greedy, at the time they were getting 1% on the industrial funding fee. So 1% of 5 million, I'll take that once a month and you guys will never hear from me again. So that's what happens with the way these consolidations work, is that it's going to make it a little bit easier. And from what I've been able to gather from talking with folks in the capital area, if you will, is that if you're small business on one of your major categories and you lose that, it's not going to affect the rest of your contract. I haven't seen it in writing, but that's what I was told. Anybody have blanket purchase agreements? That would be nice. If you got a blanket purchase agreement, it's, let me get rid of those, sorry. If you have a blanket purchase agreement, it's not going to be affected. But what the paragraph is saying is that BPAs are affected always if the BPA expires or your schedule expires before the end of the BPA, or the BPA expires, that's fine. But if your schedule expires, you lose your BPA. So it's very important that when you hit that 6-month period on the renewal or option year, extension, whatever you want to call it, that you don't ignore it. I've had 3 clients that ignored it, and all of a sudden, a month later, I'm scrambling over the weekends and late at night and everything else trying to get the stuff put together so that they can keep their contract. So that's, pay attention, folks. We're right near the end. Here's some helpful links for you. These will be in the PDF that you hopefully have already downloaded. And I'll take any questions that anybody may have. I told you I'd get us out of here before 30 minutes. This is not that big a deal. We'll probably do another video that will take us into seriously in depth of exactly what's going on. Maybe even do some web browsing and look at some documents and see what some of the terms and conditions and everything else are. But aside from that, let me see if I've got questions here. Oh, there it is. Is there supposed to be, why is this not doing what it's supposed to do? All right, Christopher asks, oh, was there supposed to be audio? Yeah, sorry, Christopher. Yeah, there's audio, obviously. And another question, what do I got here? How long is it taking to, I already know the answer to that because everything's under the new. The time frames are still going to be about the same. And typically, if you've got all your homework done, and when we represent a client, we have a homework section, which that takes anywhere from a week to 2 weeks, and most of it's out of your hands being handled by third parties. For example, your open ratings report, your digital certificate, things like that, updating your SAM. Do not ever let your SAM record expire. You are just absolutely, I'm not going to say it, but it ends with the word pooch. So do not ever let it expire. We had a client who's also been a sponsor of some of our webinars, ignored the emails. It took 3 to 4 months for her to get her SAM record updated, which delayed her award 3 to 4 months, and then nobody really cared. So I was hammering on these guys at the contract officer level to finally get them to say, push the button, give us the number, let her go off and do her thing. So don't ever let that expire. That's part of the homework. Make sure your SAM record stays up to date. When you submit or when we submit, the SAM record must have a minimum of 6 months before expiration. But SAM, now only SAM, not the scam outfit in St. Petersburg that U.S. federal contractor registration says, let us manage your SAM, we're part of SAM. They're not. They're going to charge you $500 to do it. It's free. You have a problem with your SAM record, call me. I'll answer as best I can because I can't see the SAM record unless you want to screen share. I'll walk you through it. No charge, because it's the right thing to do. We are here to help people. When you pay it forward, that's why we've been in business 33 years. I've seen companies come and go. A couple of them get acquired, get bought, whatever. That's not how you do business, to say, pay me and I'll fix it. Pay me and I'll do it. I give away, like today, more free information than I've ever been able to count. Let me see what the next, okay, Rita, let me see what you got here for a question. So to apply for a new schedule, how different is it from last year? Hopefully, Rita, you just joined and you didn't hear the whole thing. Technically, from my side, there's no difference. From your side, technically no difference. But the differences are, you don't have to figure out where you want to be. Just drop me a note, Rita, and tell me what you do, or are you in IT? Are you guys in human resources? What does your company do? Okay. Oh, wait a minute. Okay. Oh, sorry. I was looking at your last name, not your first name. Well, I like the name Rita anyway. And didn't mean to put it out on the air, but now you're part of the webinar for life. IT. Now, you have a choice when you're in IT. Are you going to do products? Are you going to do services? Are you going to do subscriptions? Are you doing training? The same thing you had before with the special item numbers, 132, 8, 12, blah, 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 down the road. Your major category would be IT. Your subcategory would be, let's do hardware first. And then from there, you would work it through, but you don't have to go find the 87,000 SINs, special item numbers, and there's a reason they're called SINs, because they're gone, to figure out where you belong. Am I selling software or am I renting software? Am I subscribing software? That's answered very, very easily and quickly in the new program. Now, the solicitation document that anybody can get off of FedBizOps or GSA Interact or wherever, I think it's all over to FedBizOps now, which, by the way, is going to go away and get consolidated back into SAM. Everything's going into SAM. And you'll see the explanations, but you won't be able to see how it works. And you're selling services to the government, Elizabeth, and the question becomes then is, are you acting as a temporary agency, or are you acting as these are people that are on your staff? They're actually employees or contractors that work for you, temp. You can't go on IT. Well, you can't really go on IT with temp. Temp has to be human resources. You answered my question as far as I have a client that was doing that, and he had both. He was doing temp, and he was doing, his temp was putting somebody on, one of his employees, on site for 6 months or a year or whatever. Well, that's not temp. That person works for you, and you have a choice of government site or contractor site. Then he said, wait a minute, there's a market there for temp. So we're doing a contract for him now for temp, which is no longer the 738, it's now MAS. So hopefully that a little bit tidbit of information helped you out, and we'll move forward from there. My pleasure. And if you have any further questions, you see the number on the screen, give me a call, give me a few minutes afterwards to get something to drink to clear my throat, and would love to sit down and talk with you for a while. Ladies and gentlemen, if there are no other questions, no other concerns, thank you so much, and we look forward to seeing you on our next webinar. And this one will be rebroadcast, and it'll be on our YouTube channel, and it'll also be on the webinar on demand if you want to go back through and do it again. Thank you all for joining us, and have a wonderful day. Thanks for watching. If you found this video informative, please give it a thumbs up, and we'll see you soon.